Okay, here's our book. What's Sprouting in My Trash? A book about composting. This book is by Esther Porter, and she had some help with this book by a person named Tom Fitz, Dr. Tom Fitz. He's an associate professor of geoscience at Northland College in Ashland, Wisconsin. So she consulted with a scientist in order to write this book. You like to recycle? Earth does too. In fact, nature has taught us a great deal about recycling. Earth knows how to renew itself naturally. If we watch closely, we can learn too. Compost is nature's way of recycling. In autumn, a tree's leaves fall to the ground. The leaves' energy goes back into the dirt. Now Earth can use the energy again. It might even go back to the tree it came from. Nature never loses energy. That's due to a few little helpers on the ground called microorganisms. Micro what? Microorganisms. Micro means small and organism means living being. Get it? Microorganisms are creatures so small that we can only see them through a microscope. With the help of larger critters like worms and bugs, microorganisms eat almost everything that falls to the ground. In fact, when plants and animals die, microorganisms have a feeding frenzy. As they eat, microorganisms take in energy. They keep a little for themselves, and the rest of the energy goes back into the ground. The microorganisms' work turns trash into super rich soil called humus. The breakdown of energy happens slowly in nature, but it happens quickly in compost. Compost can be kept in a bin or in a pile on the ground. It can be small or big. There are many ways to make compost, but a few things are needed for it to work well. Compost needs the right ingredients. Grass clippings, leaves, and shredded newspaper are good. Kitchen scraps like banana peels and eggshells are perfect for compost. Don't add meat to compost. Meat attracts dogs, cats, raccoons, and other animals that will dig through it. We don't want these critters hurting themselves or the compost pile. Just like people, compost needs air. Oxygen keeps away stinky bacteria, and it feeds the good bacteria. Keep compost nice and fluffy and full of air. How? Just mix it. Compost also needs the right amount of water. If there's too much water, the air can't reach the little helpers in the pile. If there's too little, the microorganisms can dry out and die. The best compost has a perfect mix of water and air. Compost stays healthy when it keeps warm. As good bacteria are around feasting on trash, they create their own heat. When it is warm, the ingredients quickly break apart. This speeds up the compost process. Aren't worms amazing? They carry water, air, and nutrients throughout the compost pile, taking these important things to the microorganisms. Worms don't have eyes, but they sense light to get around, and they eat their weight in food every day. When we compost, we have less trash to dump in our landfills. Compost also acts as a filter for earth and prevents pollution from spreading. When we allow nature to teach us, our planet is happier and more beautiful place to live. Now, let's learn how to compost in a jar. Here we go. Composting in a jar. Want to see how compost works? Make a compost in a jar. Like compost pile or bin, compost in a jar turns scraps and clippings into perfect compost. Here's how to make your own. You will need a large clear plastic or glass jar, food scraps like fruit peels, bread, leaves, garden clippings, garden soil, not potting soil, but garden soil. The instructions. Place 2 inches of soil in the bottom of a plastic or glass jar. Moisten for best results. Place food scraps, leaves, and grass clippings on top of the soil in several repeating layers. Leave the jar open and place it on a windowsill or other location where it will not be disturbed. Check the jar daily. What changes do you see? Add a little water every week. Mix it by stirring. Then your compost has broken down into dark, rich soil. Add it to a garden or planter. And that was our book. I hope you learned something. There's lots of information about composting. You can Google it and learn an awful lot. So this is something that you may be able to do for a very, very long time. And as you get older and start gardening, or now, you can use compost to make great vegetables. Thank you. Be safe and be fun. Bye-bye.